Picture this. Before Zeus hurled his first thunderbolt, before Poseidon stirred the seas, before even the earth itself existed, there was only chaos. Not chaos as in madness or war, but a vast yawning nothing. A void. Silence stretching forever. And from that nothing came everything. Gods, monsters, love, war, the very sky and sea. But here's the twist. The earliest Greeks believed the gods themselves weren't eternal. They were born, they fought, they rebelled, and some were even swallowed whole by their own father. So how did a universe of nothing become the violent, dramatic family tree of Greek mythology? And why did an ancient god literally eat his children alive? Stay with me, because this is one of the most epic origin stories ever told. Welcome to the dawn of Greek mythology, an era where reality, dream, and nightmare were one and the same. Today, we're diving into the entire cosmic soap opera that gave birth to Zeus, Hera, Poseidon, Hades, and the pantheon we know from myths, movies, and memes. This isn't just history, it's mythology, yes, but it's also philosophy. The Greeks were trying to answer humanity's oldest question: where did we come from? And honestly, their answer. It makes Game of Thrones look like a children's bedtime story. All right, let's dive into this saga, because once you hear it, you'll never forget it. Oh, and if you're into gods, monsters, and the kind of history Netflix wishes it could write, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next epic. Before gods, before mortals, before even the earth itself, there was only chaos. Now, don't picture chaos like traffic jams or war. No, this chaos was the ultimate void. An infinite, yawning chasm, a place where nothing existed, no light, no darkness, no sky, no ground. Just a cosmic silence that stretched forever. And yet, from that nothing, something stirred. First came Gaia, the earth, solid, fertile, eternal. She wasn't just dirt and stone, she was alive, a goddess with power to create and sustain life. Then came Tartarus, the yawning pit beneath existence, deeper than the underworld itself. And Eros, not the cherub with wings you know later, but a raw, primeval force of attraction, the spark that drives creation itself. Soon followed Nyx, goddess of night, dark and powerful, and Hemera, the personification of day. Imagine the universe flickering into form, night and day chasing each other, earth forming beneath the heavens, desire pulling all things together. And finally, Gaia gave birth to the sky, a god named Uranus. The stage was set, earth below, sky above, and the void of chaos still lingering around them. But harmony? Number. Greek mythology never begins with peace. It begins with tension. Because when Gaia and Uranus came together, they unleashed children so mighty, so terrifying, that their story would shape the destiny of gods and mortals forever. Gaia, the earth, looked up at Uranus, the endless sky, and together they became the first cosmic couple. Their union was not gentle, it was overwhelming, eternal, unbreakable. Wherever earth stretched, sky pressed down, covering her completely. From this union came the Titans, 12 colossal beings who embodied aspects of the cosmos. There was Oceanus, the endless river encircling the world, Hyperion, the shining one, tied to the sun, Themis, the embodiment of divine law, and youngest of all, Cronus. But Gaia and Uranus didn't only produce majestic children, their union also spawned the Cyclopes, giant one-eyed smiths of unimaginable power, and the Hecatoncheires, monsters with 100 arms and 50 heads, so powerful they could tear mountains apart with their bare hands. Uranus looked upon these monstrous children and was disgusted. Fearing their power, he forced them back into Gaia's womb, deep within her body, locked away in suffocating darkness. The earth groaned in agony. Imagine the planet itself moaning, filled with trapped giants clawing to be free. Gaia's pain turned to fury, so she forged a weapon, a sickle made of unbreakable stone, sharp, curved, gleaming with vengeance. And she whispered to her Titan children, "Who among you will strike against your father? and free your brothers." The Titans trembled. None dared, except one, the youngest, clever and ambitious, Cronus. Cronus promised to act, to cut down the sky itself. The first rebellion in myth was about to begin. The trap was set. One night, Uranus descended to lie with Gaia, pressing his vast body against hers as he always did. But this time, Cronus was waiting. Hidden in the shadows, clutching the jagged sickle his mother had given him, Cronus struck. With one savage swing, he castrated his father. The sky itself screamed. The blood of Uranus fell upon the earth, and from those crimson drops sprang new beings, the Erinyes, or Furies, spirits of vengeance with wings of bat and whips of brass. The giants, towering warriors destined for future wars. And the Melii, nymphs of the ash tree, born from blood-soaked soil. And when Cronus hurled the severed flesh into the sea, the waters churned, foamed, and from the froth rose Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, radiant and eternal. Yes, you heard right. In Greek mythology, love itself was born from cosmic violence. Cronus had won. The sky was overthrown, severed from the earth. His siblings were free, and the age of the Titans had begun. But Uranus's voice, though weakened, cursed his son. "Just as you have overthrown me, so too shall your own child overthrow you." A prophecy. A seed of doom planted in Cronus's heart. He was king now, yes, but fear would forever haunt his reign. And that fear? It would lead to one of the darkest acts in all mythology, a god devouring his own children. With Uranus defeated, Cronus seized the throne. He became king of the cosmos, and his sister Rhea became his queen. The world entered what the Greeks called the Golden Age, a time when mortals lived in peace, untouched by hunger, toil, or war. The earth gave food freely, rivers ran with abundance, and no man knew suffering. But beneath the golden glow, darkness brewed. Cronus could not forget his father's curse. "One of your children will overthrow you, just as you overthrew me." Fear twisted him, paranoia consumed him, and when Rhea bore him a child, Hestia, Cronus opened his mouth and swallowed her whole, not dead, not destroyed, just trapped inside the depths of his immortal body. Then came Demeter, gulp, Hera, gulp, Hades, Poseidon, gulp, gulp. One by one, the future Olympians disappeared down his throat. Rhea was horrified. Can you imagine? Watching each child vanish, powerless to stop it. She pleaded with her husband, but Cronus was deaf to mercy. His crown was all that mattered. And so, Cronus ruled. The world outside sparkled with peace, but his household was steeped in terror. Yet destiny, as always in Greek myth, cannot be cheated forever. Because when Rhea carried her sixth child, she vowed, "This one will not be devoured." Rhea was desperate. 5 children lost, a 6th on the way. She could not let Cronus repeat his monstrous feast. So she turned to Gaia, the ancient earth herself, for guidance. Together they hatched a plan. When the baby was born, Rhea carried him in secret to the island of Crete. In a cave hidden deep in the mountains, she entrusted him to the care of nymphs. He was fed on the milk of the divine goat Amalthea and honey dripping from sacred bees. But what about Cronus? Rhea had prepared a trick. She wrapped a stone in swaddling clothes and presented it to her husband. Cronus, greedy and suspicious, swallowed the bundle whole, never realizing it wasn't his son. Meanwhile, baby Zeus grew strong in hiding. To protect him, warriors known as the Kuret danced around the cave, clashing their shields and spears so that his cries would never reach Cronus's ears. Imagine it. Thunder echoing through the mountains, the clang of bronze drowning out the wail of a child who would one day command the heavens. Zeus was safe, and prophecy was in motion. Because once Zeus came of age, he would return to face his father. And when he did, it would not be with kindness. Years passed. Zeus grew into manhood, hidden from Cronus's watchful eye. But his destiny was clear: free his siblings and overthrow the tyrant. Guided by Gaia and aided by the goddess Metis, Zeus confronted Cronus with a cunning plan. He tricked his father into drinking a powerful potion. Cronus gagged, convulsed, and then it happened. From his throat burst Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon, grown, immortal, furious. Reunited at last, the siblings formed a new alliance, the Olympians. Cronus rallied the Titans, and war erupted, the Titanomachy. For 10 years the cosmos trembled, the sea boiled, mountains split, Titans hurled boulders the size of cities, while Zeus's thunderbolts set the skies ablaze. At first the battle raged evenly, but Zeus had a secret weapon. He descended into the depths and freed the Cyclopes and the hundred-handed giants, his monstrous uncles whom Uranus had imprisoned. Grateful, the Cyclopes forged weapons of unimaginable power. Zeus received the thunderbolt, Poseidon the trident, Hades the helm of invisibility. Armed with divine weapons, the Olympians struck with fury. The hundred-handed giants rained down stones and mountains like hail. Titans fell. Cronus's army broke. At last, the Titans were defeated. Cronus and his allies were cast down into Tartarus, chained in darkness behind unbreakable gates. The age of the Titans ended. The rule of the Olympians began. But peace was still far away, for a new terror was about to rise, one greater than any Titan. Just when Zeus thought his victory was secure, the cosmos unleashed its final test. From the depths of Gaia's rage, still mourning the fall of her Titan children, rose a creature unlike anything before. His name was Typhon. Imagine a giant whose head brushed the stars, with eyes blazing fire, and 100 serpent heads writhing from his shoulders. His voice was thunder, his breath a hurricane. Some stories even say his body stretched so wide, one arm reached west to the edge of the world, the other east to the dawn. The gods trembled. Some fled in terror, disguising themselves as animals to escape. Apollo became a hawk, Dionysus, a goat, even Ares bolted. But Zeus stood his ground. The battle shook the universe. Thunderbolts clashed with firestorms. Mountains split in two. Seas roared. At one point, Typhon even tore the sinews from Zeus's body, imprisoning him in a cave. For a moment, it seemed Olympus had fallen. But with cunning aid from Hermes and the Fates, Zeus escaped. He returned with renewed fury, unleashing a thunderbolt so massive it shattered Typhon's strength. The monster fell, pinned beneath Mount Etna, where his fiery breath still erupts as volcanic flame. The greatest threat to Olympus was defeated. The throne of Zeus was secure. With Typhon subdued, Zeus and his siblings finally established order over the cosmos. The universe was divided. Zeus claimed the sky and the thunderbolt, ruling as king of gods. Poseidon took the seas, wielding the trident to shake oceans and summon storms. Hades descended to the underworld, crowned lord of the dead with his helm of invisibility. The earth itself, Gaia, remained the common ground of gods and mortals alike. The Olympians took their thrones upon Mount Olympus, high above the mortal world. 12 deities formed the core of this divine order: Athena, Apollo, Artemis, Hermes, Aphrodite, Ares, and more, alongside the ruling siblings. But let's be clear, Olympus was not peaceful. Far from it. The Olympians were passionate, jealous, ambitious. They quarreled, schemed, and loved with the same intensity as mortals. Their stories would shape every Greek legend to come, from the labors of Heracles to the fall of Troy. Still, for now, a new dynasty had risen. The age of the Titans was gone. The age of the Olympians had begun. But in Greek myth, no throne is ever truly safe. From the cosmic battles of Chaos, Uranus, Cronus, and Zeus sprang the myths that would define an entire civilization. Every storm, every earthquake, every eruption was explained through these divine dramas. Zeus's thunderbolt was the crack of the sky. Poseidon's trident, the cause of quakes beneath the sea. Typhon's fiery breath, the molten core of volcanoes. But the myths weren't just natural explanations. They were also moral and cultural lessons. The Titans symbolized the raw, untamed forces of nature. The Olympians represented order, civilization, and law, though often flawed and prone to excess. Through these myths, the Greeks explained not just how the world was, but how power worked. No ruler was safe. Every king, every god faced rebellion from below. The cycle of overthrow was eternal, and from this foundation, countless heroes would rise. Perseus, who slew Medusa; Heracles, who labored against impossible trials; Odysseus, who defied gods to return home. But at the root of every legend stood this origin story, the family drama of the cosmos itself. At last, we return to where it all began: chaos, nothingness. The Greeks saw the world not as fixed, but as cyclical. Creation led to rebellion, rebellion to downfall, downfall to rebirth. Uranus fell to Cronus, Cronus fell to Zeus. And one day, perhaps, Zeus too would be challenged by his own blood. Even the gods lived under prophecy. Even kings of Olympus could not escape fate. And maybe that's why these myths endure. They weren't just wild stories of monsters and gods. They were reflections of human truth. Families betray, children rise, power shifts, order collapses. And from the ashes, something new is born. When you hear these myths today, they may sound fantastical. But for the Greeks, they explained the deepest mysteries of existence. And who knows? Maybe they weren't entirely wrong. Maybe somewhere, buried in ancient memory, there were echoes of forgotten battles, strange catastrophes, or ancestral struggles that the poets turned into gods and legends. What began with chaos still speaks to us today, because in every generation, whether mortal or divine, the cycle continues. So there you have it, the entire origin of Greek mythology, from the void of chaos to Uranus and Gaia, to Cronus swallowing his children, to Zeus hurling thunderbolts from Olympus. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think these myths were pure imagination, or echoes of some ancient truth we'll never fully uncover? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone, and stick around. Because trust me, this was only the beginning. The tales of the gods and heroes that follow, they get even wilder. Subscribe, because history and mythology, they're far crazier than Netflix could ever write.